sea herring play an important role in the ocean food chain. Many marine species prey on them, and local fishermen depend on them to attract their catch. But this essential resource is being threatened by commercial fishing vessels known as Midwater trawlers that pass through the waters of Cape Cod and scoop up tons of herring and other bycatch.
The Midwater herring trawlers fish off of our shores, and they are depleting our resource, which is a natural resource that all the other species need to thrive. And when the corporate interests come in and scoop up more than what's proper, that it depletes that resource, and we see a depletion in the forage species that need it. The bluefin tuna, the striped bass, the cod, the haddock, even the dogfish, all are looking for something to eat. And that herring is our natural forage species that causes all these other things to thrive. The whales need this, seabirds, all of that chain of life is what we need. And to have corporate interests come in with huge 100-foot vessels that pair trawl, 2 boats towing 1 net at speeds greater than any small boat fishery, they just scoop up vast tons and tons and tons of this herring, and we need it for the tuna and the stripers and the cod.
These industrial-scale ships that tow a mesh net between them the size of a football field are seriously impacting the livelihoods of local fishermen.
It's been a steady decline in the tuna fishery since I've been fishing. I started fishing tuna in, I don't know, 98. You know, there's guys that have done it a lot longer than I have. They know a lot more about the history of the herring depletion than I do, but since I started fishing commercially for tuna, there's been a steady decline in the amount of tuna that's close to shore. I mean, we're having to go way farther and farther and farther and fish rougher and rougher conditions to try to find, you know, areas where the tuna want one thing. They want to eat and they want to breed.
In the fish traps, we used to catch 250,000 pounds of mackerel per season. In the weirs in the springtime, month of May, they come inshore in the Nantucket Sound. And since these boats geared up in the late 90s, we saw a steady decline of mackerel for a number of years. We went all the way from 250,000 pounds down to a few thousand pounds a season. And hardly, you know, now there's hardly any, and these boats work on both herring and mackerel. More so the mackerel in the wintertime down off the mid-Atlantic, and then herring the rest of the year. So it was a decline for this weir fishing where it got to a point where it wasn't worth going because it's one of our main species of catch in that business. So that whole fishery's kind of collapsed now, and I didn't go for a number of years because it wasn't profitable.
The Cape Cod Commercial Fishermen's Alliance has been lobbying the New England Fishery Management Council for years to establish a 30-mile buffer zone off the coast of Cape Cod that would push these trawlers further offshore.
Yeah, the reason for the buffer zone is because all the other small boat fisheries have been impacted by the lack of Atlantic sea herring, whether it's your commercial fishermen, you know, pursuing ground fish, your recreational fishermen, and your charter headboat fishermen. Everybody has been affected because the analogy I'll make is to the lay person, think of your grazing animals, your caribou herds, your elk herds that travel for hundreds of miles, caribou especially, feeding, right? Just constantly searching out forage. And think of that when you think about predator fish in the ocean, your striped bass, your whales, your Atlantic bluefin tuna, your seabirds. These are all predators of Atlantic sea herring. These small vessels, once again, 35 to 45 foot vessels, have to steam 130 miles due east out to the Hague line, the Canadian-US demarcation line, and they fish right on the line 130 miles east of Cape Cod. And these vessels are way too small to be going that distance. Prior years, we traveled no more than 50 or 55, 60 miles tops to prosecute the bluefin tuna industry.
Alliance members are also asking for these industry vessels to be more closely monitored by a regulating authority.
So we've asked for 100% observer coverage because the other analogy I'm going to use, when a pair trawl comes through an area and they hunt like a herd of wolves. Like if a set of pair trawlers find fish, they call the rest of the fleet in. So you might have five or six sets of pair trawlers in one very small area. And my analogy is, you think of a golf course or the green when they mow it. They don't miss one blade of grass. Well, that's true with these pair trawls. They don't miss any fish when they come through an area. They catch everything. Everything that's engulfed in that net is caught and killed. Once again, bycatch, discards, and we've asked for better observer coverage over the years. Amendment 5 was supposed to get us that, but the government couldn't fund it, and then of course industry, they didn't want to have to pay to be observed. To this day, they don't want to be observed. But we as the public, this is a public resource, and we have a right to know what's going on, what they're catching and killing and taking out of the ocean.
The buffer zone the Alliance is seeking is included in a New England Fishery Management Council plan called Amendment 8 to the Atlantic herring fishery. But to get it passed, the Alliance needs the help of the public and local fishermen.
When we get the fishermen to come through the door, we ask them, please, and we're trying to pick out the meetings where they'll be most influential, whether it's a herring committee meeting or a council meeting. We implore them to come. You know, this is an action that's going to be voted up or down. You know, we'll provide transportation, we'll get you to the meeting. You know, and if need be, if you want to speak at the mic, please speak at the mic and tell them how critical this amendment, tell the council members how critical this amendment is, that it be voted up.
I don't want these guys to stop fishing. I just don't want them to stop fishing so close to our shorelines. You know, because they're a big corporate interest, they can go fish anywhere they want. They have 150-foot boats. I've got a 34-foot boat. I can't go 150 miles offshore to catch stripers. I got to be close to shore. So I want to see a buffer zone of 50 miles. Let them go fish somewhere else.